Good evening, Professor. Today, my partner and I are here to talk about the questions proposed regarding world peace. My name is Yamara Cubillas,
I'm Jess Gonzalez.
and to start, we have the question of Joyce. Do you think that world peace is possible, and why?
Well, I think that world peace is something possible, but if in a maybe idealistic way, because it will need the effort for all the people around the world to actually um, make and make all the conflicts planified ways to solve it. Like, for example, through history, where we'll see different ways that we deal with conflict and make solutions. Nowadays, for example, we are more interconnected because of the technology and also the globalization. So it will definitely, we have the tools to do it and to understand better other cultures because we are more in contact. But it will need the willing of the people, million of people all around the world. So definitely doing this will be really hard to do it if we are not taking idealistic way. But what do you think about it?
Well, I think that I don't want to be pessimistic, but be realistically speaking, like you said, it's very an ideal, right? I don't think that it will be possible with the way people are wired. For starters, I think that for us to achieve world peace, there's like a collective effort that is needed from every single country all around the world, and then following like this perfect guideline of what a good country is. And I don't think anyone knows what that is. And if we don't know, I don't think we could apply it. But also, like, we could never agree on one single thing. Plus, also, humans innately have that ability to do right or wrong. And whether some choose to do right most of the time, a lot of people choose to do wrong. And we cannot take that away from the human being because that it's kind of like a gene that we have within ourselves. We cannot just make that disappear, right? And moving on, do you think that currently do we live in a peaceful world?
Well, from my point of view, I consider that we are not living in a peaceful world. Not even just a little bit, because nowadays there is conflict, there's this war between Russia and Ukraine. There are a lot of manifestation, protest, and armistices all around the world, especially in South Africa and Middle East, but here in Latin America too. There's a lot of inequality. There's a big gap between women's and men's. Also, there's a lot of conflicts because of the climate change, because it produces not just an impact in nature, but also in lack of resources in many areas around the world. It produces migrations. There's a lot of politics, like for example in the US, that are really violent between these people. So it just producing more violence and more damage in humanity. So I definitely would say that we are not living in a peaceful world. What do you think about it?
I agree. I do not think that we live in a peaceful world at all, because there's a couple things that are in factor there. I think the two most important are that we are very intolerant and we lack respect for each other. For example, gender inequality, like you mentioned, race inequality. A lot of people are racist, even if they think that we are not, or not we, I mean, people in general. There's people that do not respect each other because of religion, because of sexual orientation, or because of social status. Sometimes people, when they have money or power, they think they're better than somebody else, and they just simply are not. And also, I think that nowadays people are blinded by power. Whenever somebody gets to like being president or being a minister, they just forget that they're there to help people and they just want more money. And I don't think that that is helping us, being in a peaceful world. And lastly, what do you think that countries would have to do or install to be able to live in peace?
Well, as you mentioned, we're living in a society that is very selfish. It happens because we don't have this education from strong values to this recognition in other people that all of us, we are human beings and we have to be respect. It happens a lot because we don't have this ethic awareness. And I think it has to be implemented in order to respect the human rights, um, because it also will make consequently that we choose better our government. We have a solid government, so it will be not just people who is looking for themselves from their own power, but also looking for what they have this authority, that is to guarantee the well-being of people, the human rights, so people will live in a world where it will be respected. We have access to education, to health, to be freedom to speech, and also to live in general, not being discriminated by their religion, their race, their orientation, or whatever. Because as I mentioned before, we are all human beings and we have to be respected because of the human dignity.
Yes, and I also believe that another part relies on who we allow to go into government. I think that lately people get prepared to be president, to be a congressman, to be a minister, but I think that they are still allowed to be there even if they've committed crimes. And Peru is the best example of us having just criminals in power. And they can just pay to make that go away, and they just continue to have all those privileges. So I think that more honesty. I think we live in a world with very dishonest people empowered, and just making that honesty one thing that we should have from within. And that just would come with education. Like you mentioned, we have to be educated so that we know who to choose. But also, I feel like they should have enough conscience to not go into power when they are not correct for that. And I believe that will be all of our ideas today. Thank you so much, Professor, for watching the video, and I hope you enjoyed it.
Thanks.